like we were saying before, I sent the link to the wrong email address.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that happen with a text? Like, oh shit, that was not supposed to go to that guy.
Oh, for sure I've done that, regrettably, like I even think like, man, I wish there's like that like 30-second grace period to unsend, you know what I mean? Or something like that.
Yeah, that would be so beneficial. I read this article that with the new iPhone you can unsend messages that are already sent.
Ooh,
So that I think that'd be
I
really
like that.
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Sign me up. Sign me up. Yeah.
But I mean, like that's gonna cause a lot of differences. Like, oh man, I said one. It's like, yeah, I didn't. I don't think so. I don't think I sent that, man. I mean, if you look at the transcripts, it's not there.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
That's just gonna be a real issue. But I mean, that's something that happens all the time. Or like you didn't get back to somebody and you totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then that happens to me all the time. Like, oh shit, I totally forgot to get back to that guy when I was doing something.
Yeah. Then you could just say, oh man, I accidentally hit the unsend,
Yeah, I don't have an iPhone though. I can't do that. I can't.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I wish I would. I could do that, but I just have to live with it. I just have to live with the misdeeds. I
Yeah.
didn't get back to that person. I feel bad about it.
I feel like I recently did that, like, or at least like I was getting like, you get a few texts coming in at once and then you're responding to everybody. And then you're like, oh shit, did I just write to the right person or the right, especially when you're talking about somebody in the other conversation.
Oh man, yeah, that's always so difficult. It's just like, oh
like,
shit.
Yeah. So I always kind of like try to double check, like make sure like the names are matching up a little bit.
Yeah.
Or like you're like, oh, I want to hang out with this person, but you told somebody else I'm kind of busy, and then you write to that person like, yeah, I'm down. You're like, oh shit, like.
Yeah, then you're up a creek. And you're like, oh shit, this is gonna be a whole thing because you
Yeah.
gotta go meet the person, and that's
Yeah.
people who are listening to this know who we're talking about right now.
Yeah, that person's like, that son of a bitch, dude.
Fucking hey, he said he was busy.
He's always flaking, he's always flaking,
How many phone numbers do you know off the top of your head? I mean, like just ballparking number.
I think two.
I that's good. I feel like a lot of people don't know any. It's like, oh
Three.
shit, I don't know.
Three.
Okay.
Three. Yeah.
That's it. Is one of those three your own phone number?
No, one of them is the classic my parents' landline. They still got it. I always say like you got to have those like. I mean, hopefully you don't have to go there, but it's like you got to have those like numbers, like those numbers that like you could leave a voicemail, those landlines, and one of them is actually my folks' landline, and actually the other one is my old best friend, my longest best friend's his old landline that he still has too. And we've been friends since like first grade. And it's funny that I still remember it. I even use his phone number for like CVS discounts and stuff or Vaughn's discounts. You know what I mean? So it's definitely in my head. And then also my dad's cell phone number because it's very similar to mine.
Okay. Yeah. That's the move though, to if you know somebody else has got some discounts or whatever, to use their phone number.
Yeah. It's clutch, Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to save that penny.
I used it at Barnes and Nobles one time, and I forgot to tell the person, and then I just totally slipped my mind. I was like, okay, it's like whatever, a few bucks off. That's fantastic. Totally forgot to mention it, and then she had mentioned like, oh, somebody used my phone number at Barnes and Noble. I was like, oh shit, hey, I'm sorry, that was me. I forgot to tell you that I used your phone. I know you have a thing there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they shouldn't complain. You're adding to their like I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Adding to the database,
Yeah. You're welcome, NSA. Yeah. Take my information.
Exactly. Yeah. I think like Bill Burr has like a skit about that. Like, no, you don't need my information. I just came here to buy a toothbrush.
Yes.
Like, you don't need the information.
Yeah, he's so great.
Which is kind of that's why I use going up.
Yeah, that's so true. Very, very important to like. It's like you don't. People are just giving up information left and right. It's like that's so dangerous.
Dude, I just like confirmed to a free show recently. Like my buddies are playing this free show, and I was like, sick, I'll RSVP, you know? And I RSVP'd, and then you have to download this app to get your tickets the day of the show. And I'm just like, I went to go download it, and sure enough, it's like, sign in, create an account. I'm just like, fuck, man. How many accounts do I gotta create, dude? You know?
Yeah, that I think I know exactly what that is. Cause I use that.
But we're not gonna say the name.
No, because they're actually a sponsor. So you know.
yeah. But we don't. But it's like, come on, dude. Like, whatever happened, just shoot me the email, and like I could show you that, or hey, I'll even print it out if I got it. But now it's like people are like, oh, printing out is such an inconvenience and waste, and it's like.
Yeah, but if I print out a ticket, or I have like a solid ticket, like the actual stub and everything, I'll keep that. I'll put it in a box.
I like that. I have like a box of like all my like dating back to like high school, like punk rock concerts and things like that, you know? And I like that. And nowadays it's like we don't have that anymore. Like we can do screenshot it and save it and be like,
it's not the same.
Delete it 6 months from now when you run out of memory space, you know, it's like, that one's gotta go, dude. That's gotta go.
That wasn't even a memorable show, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, I was like, kind of forgot about it, you know. They didn't play the song I liked, so forget it, you know.
Yeah, I started recording at the wrong time. He didn't play it, and
yeah, hate when that happens.
Yeah. What was the really memorable show you've been to? You're like, oh, that was a good show. What is a stub worthy show that you're gonna keep?
Of recent times or just in general?
In general.
I think like for sure, and this is probably just because I saw him not too long ago, and it kind of like rehashed like, oh, this guy is the shit. The first time I saw Devendra Banhart, like about 10 years ago or so, I think like Cripple Crow and all that just came out, and he did like, it was a beautiful show. He like came out with the full band, and then he stripped it down to his acoustic vibe, and then little by little he built it up with the full band again. And it was just like, it was like one of those like magical concerts. This guy has that magic on stage, you know?
Yeah, I have seen him maybe like twice. Yeah, it's not like I'm not super duper into him, but I did go like, okay, I do like it. He puts on a great performance. He's giving his heart out there. And I appreciate that.
Charisma. Yeah. So that was definitely one of those kind of concerts. Tame Impala, when they were doing their Lonerism tour, that was pretty epic. That was like one of the last concerts I went to, and when I looked around, like in the middle of like this, you know, solo or just trippy part of the set, I looked around and no one was on their phone. It was like a moment, probably one of the last moments, like where something epic was happening, and everyone was just like enjoying the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because nowadays it's like phone. And it's like, man.
Yeah.
I kind of like comedy shows. They like, you know, hide your phone or whatever, because it forces you. I mean, they're protecting themselves, but like forces you to be in that moment, and just to like, you know, you walk away with just like, it was just us in the room, and that's what it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, live in the moments. Like this is here it is. Like it's just me in this moment. I have it up here. I don't need to document it, you know?
Yeah, you don't need to document again everything. In like 6 months from now, you're gonna delete it because you ran out of space, or you don't want to pay more cloud space. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of just like, we don't need to record everything. Every moment of our life isn't that important, really. You know what I mean?
Right. How do you feel when you see phones up on stage?
It's funny because like definitely like and I'm pretty sure if the musician's gonna admit it or not, but like when the phone is like presented at you, for sure you suddenly turn on the whole like, you spruce up a little for the camera and make sure that chin's looking good or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But then it takes you away from your moment on stage, because I've done that. I can recall from like our last show that we did, like definitely I looked and there were some people like filming it, and I kind of was like playing to the camera, but at the same time I'm like, oh shit, my pedal keeps coming up, and you know, I'm gonna fall over trying to get myself back into my moment, you know. So kind of sucks. And then sometimes it's like we have one song in particular that's like, that's the song everyone wants, you know. And whenever we play it, sure enough, here it comes, and then phones break out, and it's just like, you know, you would enjoy it more if you just like danced and just like got into the moment rather than like had it on your phone. And I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, sure, there has been like buddies who have sent me stuff that I do want to see. It's like, oh, you saw that. I would like to see how that sounds, just like what's going on. But majority of it's like, I don't care. This is like, you're jumping up and down. It's like not a steady shot. And it's like, I can barely hear shit.
The person in front of them's head, you know, like the silhouette of the head, you know, or them talking. It's like, come on. It's like,
it's not it. I
get like really nervous like the next day. Yeah, later in the night or the next day I get really nervous to check like all the tags and be like, I hope it doesn't sound like shit, you know. You know what I mean? You know,
right.
Like, it sounds as good as I thought it did, you
know. Were you were of the ilk of the CD in the car or the tape in the car?
Oh yeah, both, man. I mean, like I remember definitely. I'm that guy who I'm old enough to say I made my first mixtapes, like recording radio songs. Like, oh shit, here it is. You know what I mean? And there it is.
Do it now. Yeah, record it now. Get it. Yeah.
That first 3 seconds, but you know, hey, you get the rest, dude. And then the end of the song has like the radio ad coming in really quick. You know, that burn CDs for sure. Made burn CDs for like girls you had crushes on and stuff like that. Like, oh, these are all like these are all the jams right here. You know what I mean?
Then I should make a Spotify playlist. You said, hey, here it is. I curated this for you.
But yeah, but now it's like they don't even like listen. And if you send the Spotify, okay, cool. You know, another playlist to my like algorithm or whatever, you know.
Right. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's great. There's an ad in between songs.
I put that one in there too. You know. Yeah.
I knew you're looking for a thing. And here's Wix. I mean, you're trying to start your business. This is important.
Yeah. You need this. Yeah. Manscaped. Yeah. Hey, you know. You know.
Proud sponsor, Manscaped.
If you need it, hey, yeah, there you go.
But what were some tapes or CDs that lived in your car when you were a kid? Like it was just constantly in the car.
Oh man, I mean, like, dude, I had tapes. Like, I can recall still having tapes because until like even my mid-20s in the car and CDs. Because like, my first car ever was a 1967 Volkswagen. It was a car like my dad worked on like my whole life. I saw him work on it, and then by the time me and my brothers were able to drive, it was like, here are the keys. It's your responsibility now, you know. And the dopest thing about it was, one, it looked really nice, and then two, it had a bumping fucking sound system. So I couldn't wait to like do a mixtape and pop it in and just crank it. You know what I mean? So, and one that was in there actually that like, and a friend of mine gave it to me, and for years I had it, which was Oasis's.
Yeah, that's always so hard to pluralize Oasis.
Yeah, what's the story? Morning Glory. And like in my early 20s, I was like, this band from the 90s. I was like, nah, kind of just put it in the glove. And then one day I was driving. I was like, you know, let me just pop it in. You know, let me check it out. And then I was like, oh shit. Well, one thing, it brought back all this nostalgia from when I first started listening to the radio. Like, man, I remember this song on the radio and this song and this one. And then I was like, holy shit, this is like the one, you know? And then like that song, that album, that was like my appreciation for them. And then that one was always in the car, dude. And then another CD, man, I can't even think of a CD that was always in my car, dude, or my brother's car.
You gotta dig in that memory. It's in there.
For sure. If I was like cruising with my brother when he was like driving and stuff like that, that fool always had like Sublime in the car, you know, like very Southern Californian of us. And it was just like, I've heard it so much that's like, I love it. Think it's a good band, but I can live without Sublime from here on out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. There's that thing about, first of all, cassettes, it like really, I don't like, for me, like tapes, it's always been like tapes. I always had a tape player in the car. It's just so important.
Yeah.
And it really made me like appreciate albums. And I remember driving with my brother, and like he would put in his tapes. It's just like whatever it was. And then it's like, I fucking love that tape because I listened to it so many fucking because I had my brother that would drive me places. Like, well, whatever he's listening to, I'm gonna listen to because he's driving. Yeah.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of it. And I used to remember the first mix tape that his older friend, my brother's 2 years older than me, and his older friend gave us. He knew we were into like it was like the late '90s, let's say. He knew we were trying to get into like alternative music, you know. And he was like, "You guys are gonna love this." And he gave us a tape of all these like punk bands. I still remember like Minor Threat, the Dead Kennedys, Misfits, Rancid, so much more. I would have to dig deep, but like when I heard that was like my introduction to like real alternative underground music at the time, you know, like in the 90s. I didn't have the internet at the time, you know, that was like a luxury at the house, you know, dial up, you know.
Don't pick up that phone. Don't you pick up that phone.
Oh, don't, you know, and it's like, or what we used to do sometimes, we didn't even have like, we didn't pay for it, but remember they used to give you like the AOL 90 free minutes CD-ROM and you can like put that in, you know, but even prior to that, the only way you can get music was if someone like gave you the keys, you know, gave you the little mixtape or just a suggestion, check this out, you know. And this older guy, I still remember his name, Jose Bedoya, gave us the keys to the underground, you know. And ever since then I was like, yeah, this is it right here. I was like 6th, 7th grade. I was like, fuck, I love this right here. And then like from then on, that opened up all the gates to everything, you know. And then I don't know, yeah, ever since then I've always been into just more alternative or underground music, you know. Like ever since then I was like, I do not listen to the radio. I don't care what's going on anymore. You know, if they don't have this, I don't listen, you know?
Right. That's so funny that you said that there's a older friend of your brother's. That was the same in my case. Why I'm into all this alternative indie stuff, because there was an older dude that was buddies with my brother as well, Shay, and he sometimes listens, and he's like he's the guy that opened up this world to me. And I was like, oh shit, there's this and this and this and this and that, and it's just those avenues. Those are like key influential people that you need in your life. And it's especially with older people, that's like usually the case of like, here's this, and I don't know how they found out, but they impart it, and it's important.
Hey, shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Shay. Exactly.
But like that was like the cool thing about that then. And like for a while, and I remember even in high school, like there was like this whole just like, you know, those snobs that would just hold on to bands for themselves. And I was never about that, because I remember, you know, older people showing me cool music, even my dad showing me cool music. And like, as I was getting it, I was showing my friends. But then sometimes friends would hear a band and be like, nah, you know, I'm not going to share this. And I was like, I don't get that. Like, don't you want like to like know everyone else can listen to cool music or something, you know? Like if someone was like into my band and being like, this is my nugget, I don't want anyone to listen. I'm like, man, that's messed up, dude. I need more listeners, yo. You know?
I if you're gonna pay the check, that's great. That's fine. Yeah. Keep it. But if you cannot like pay the rent, yeah, send it over to your buddy. Okay.
You're not even like coming to shows and buying tickets. Like, come on, bro. You're just saving it or something. What are you doing? You know, so I never got that like, or like, oh, they're posers. They can't listen to that. Like, no, you sound like a poser hoarding music, you know? Like, it's so funny that like, you know, we used to have these tapes and CDs and we were kind of subjected to just that, or even what's in our booklet, you know, remember a CD booklet?
Yeah.
Over and over again too, where you knew like every nuance about everything, you know, you weren't even skipping songs. You're just like, let this bad boy ride. But nowadays it's like, and I was guilty of doing this morning. I was listening to the Ramones' End of the Century. And then I'm like, yeah, this is it. And I'm like, you know what? I want to hear this other Ramones song. So I'm going to switch it up right now, you know? And then by the time I'm like halfway home, I'm like, I'm already listening to the New York Dolls. I've already like gone through 3 different artists, you know? I haven't like absorbed the whole album or anything, you know? But shout out Spotify, you know?
Kinda. I mean, let's get some better paychecks over there.
That'd be nice. Yeah, that would be super nice.
Only for Taylor Swift and Adele, though. That's it. Those are the only 2 people who deserve it. Nobody else.
Nobody else. Yeah, no one else works as hard as she does.
No. You could try, but it's not gonna touch it.
Right. Yeah.
Anyways,
I've honestly probably never heard a Taylor Swift song in my life.
it's on Spotify, dude. Just check it out. I got a mixtape. I'll send it over to you, man. It's
please send the link. Yeah, yeah. There's so many artists that like I hear it and it's like I haven't heard like one song, or when I finally hear it, I'm like, oh, that's it. That's cool. You know, I guess. Yeah, I don't know what to say. You know, good for them.
Yeah, it's an odd industry.
Yeah, yeah,
to say the least. But when did you know that you were interested in making music? When did that fall into your life?
I would even say when I was making those mixtapes, man, just like the idea of just like recording the music, you know, was really awesome. And then thinking like, damn, dude, can you believe like it's someone's job to like actually record the actual music being performed? And then thinking like, man, imagine being the guy being recorded, you know, performing and having music. And then I would think like, how do they do that? How do they play that chord progression or these riffs over and over again and it sounds perfect every time? Like, how do they do that? You know, obviously I didn't know that sometimes you can paste the riff or you know, but at the same time I was like, this is like magic, you know. So I would say, but for sure by like 7th, 8th grade, me and some friends that had like similar interests, we kind of started like doing our own little middle school cover band, you know. And although it was kind of like probably pathetic and hilarious, I was like, dude, I to be in a band, like this is what I like to do. You know, I think it's like, imagine being that guy on stage, that like mythological character. You know what I mean? Like that would be fucking cool, you know? And so it was always in my head for a long time, you know? But it took me a while I was like severely shy and awkward, you know, in my adolescence. So it's kind of weird that I was choosing something where I have to be like vulnerable in front of people, you know, like as middle schoolers or high schoolers, we don't want to talk in front of the class, or, you know, we don't even want to be seen in the class, you know, but I'm over here like on my notebook, instead of writing notes, I'm writing lyrics or drawing my band logo, you know, or like my imaginary band logo in the notes, you know. And but like, yeah, and then my older brother started being in bands, and I was like, man, it would be the world if I could be in a band with them, you know. And then sure enough, that started happening, and then just little by little started blossoming from shitty punk bands to, I don't know, random experimental things. And here I am now, you know.
Look at you, man.
Still in a shitty punk band. No.
Still, yeah. Looking for the talent show. So any leads? I'm down. I'm coming.
Battle of the bands, you know, county fairs. Let me know, dude.
County fairs are sick. I love myself a fair, man.
We played the LA County fair once, like on this like random little side stage. It was weird, dude, but it was kind of cool because we got to DJ it, and it was like going through a lot of the park or whatever. And me and my drummer John were just like, let's just give it to him. We're just gonna DJ all of our like rock and roll psychedelic jams, just freak people out, I guess, you know, all the natural goers, you know, they're not getting T-Swift, that's for sure.
Because you don't want to turn them on to the really good stuff. I understand. You need to keep that secret.
I hold on a separate box of vinyl, you know,
yeah, like,
the top secret box, you know.
That's not for public use.
It has like a numeral lock. You gotta like hit the right code, you know.
Oh yeah. You gotta keep that shit under wraps. That's for private events only. Yeah.
yeah.
Did you were you always interested in psychedelic and the garage rock thing, even when you were interested in punk? Was that always there?
Well, I would say yes and no. I mean, because like at the same time, I was into everything. Fortunately for me, my dad listened to really cool music for the most part, you know. So that was always kind of like in my upbringing. But at a certain point for me, like even some of that cool music was like my parents' music. So that's why I kind of fell into the punk thing. I was like, I wanted my own thing. I wanted to rebel, you know, even though like Led Zeppelin was cool, Cream was cool, Beatles were cool, all this great music was cool, I was still kind of like, man, that's dad rock shit, you know? Like I want like things that are gonna piss my parents off and, you know, everyone else around me. But then as I started kind of like realizing like, oh, these guys are influenced by all that dad rock stuff and even beyond, you know, me and one friend in particular, we started kind of like, we were like music nerds and we started diving deeper to those like their early influences of say whoever listened to the Clash or whatever it was. And I was like, oh, they're into all this fucking cool shit too. So I was like, maybe I should start listening and taking it seriously. So I would say by like my sophomore year, I started getting into like things that were like, you know, bordering the edginess of punk, but not necessarily like garage rock stuff, like a lot of like the 80s stuff, like Gravedigger 5, the Gruesomes, some of that like the 60s do the Chesterfield Kings, 60s do the 80s do the 60s. And then from there, you know, diving into like glam rock music, New York Dolls, Hollywood Brats, and Mott the Hoople. And I mean, like, what are they into? And then it's like, oh shit, the Chocolate Watch Band and this other things. So like by like the end of like my high school years, I was like fully into just like garage rock, psychedelic music, and just even like heavy blues music. You know, I was like becoming an old man, really.
Do you think that kids who are going to start making music and want to start making like garage and psychedelic rock music 50 years from now will look at like your band and contemporary bands of this era and be like, that's like the starting point? It's like, oh, what inspired them? What inspired them? Will it just continue on like a train like that?
I would hope so, because that's what opens the doors to everything else. And if you're, you know, really into just music, you want more. So you want to figure out more. You know what I mean? Like as I was digging, like I said, me and Julian, my singer, we've known each other since high school. We were punk rock dudes together. Quick little side note, we were like arch nemesis for a while. But then we found out we just love everything the same, you know, even down to the music. And then by the end of like our high school days and our early adulthood, it was like we're like digging so far back. We're listening to like, you know, Robert Johnson and you know, it's like, man, I didn't think I was gonna go this far back, but like that's what opened the door. So I would hope younger people in 50 years or 20 years from now are like, okay, that had to come from somewhere. So let me do the math. You
Doing
know,
the
because
lineage.
it didn't start the lineage, you know, there's like a history towards it. And I think that's just important. You should try to get into to kind of open your ears and just appreciate as much as possible. Because like I said, when I was playing punk music, it was fun. But at a certain point, I was kind of like tired of playing like backyard parties, um, shitty. Like I was a teenager somehow playing like the diviest dives. And I was like, I think there's more to this with music, you know, and it's no disrespect to punk rock music, but I was like, maybe if I want to open my doors up more, I should try to, you know, open up my ability or just my interest in playing not more serious music, but just trying to like showcase my ability a little bit more, you know, like, and punk music kind of like love it, but it kind of kept me in the box a little bit. I wanted to get out of there, demonstrate everything that I love to do or I am influenced by, you know? So it's kind of just like I had to break out of that like little like world a little bit if I wanted to be part of a bigger world, really, you know? And it worked, you know, because like I would go to all these venues and think like, man, how do I play there, dude? And then a couple years later, there I am. Or how do I play this? And there I am. And then, you know, so I always have like these little like mental, I've always had these like little mental goals of like, it'd be cool to play that venue. And then you do the work and then you're there, hopefully, you know?
Yeah. What's next on the bucket list right now? What's the next step?
I would say I would say something like the Henry Fonda. That would be next locally, you know? Or I forget what it's called, but it's up in Big Sur, the Henry Miller Library.
Right.
That would be a bucket list venue. Like that'd be sweet to like, you know, make it pop. You know? Yeah, so right now at the top of my head, those are two for sure that are like that's for sure a list right there. We'll see what happens.
I always wanted to see a concert there. Jonathan Richman was at the Henry Miller Library up there in Big Sur.
Yeah,
Jonathan Richman was playing there with Mac DeMarco. I was like, oh, that would have been a great
that
thing
would be
to see.
yeah, that'd be awesome. I've never been there, and but you know, you just like you're in the woods, there's redwoods. It's like that looks magical, you know, to catch a good band out there, you know, or even like that Red Rock Theater out in Colorado. I
Colorado,
think that's
yeah.
what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like to have seen like those King Gizzard shows that were like scheduled that they were gonna do like different sets every night. Like that would have been fucking like, I would have gone to that for sure.
Yeah, a buddy of mine had tickets for that, and he didn't end up going. I don't know, got postponed or he didn't end up going, but that was his like goal.
Yeah, no, that they got postponed like a few times, but now I think like the dream is over at this point, you know.
Yeah.
Um, which it was something I was contemplating. I'm like, I think I might pull that mission for myself. Like they're a band for sure that I'd love to see live. Like I have seen them a few times, so like I know every time you go, it's like something a little different, you know.
Which is good. I was talking to Dan Rincon from the OCs about like playing there. It's like, and he said he loved it. It's like, obviously, I mean, like just what I've seen from it on videos is like amazing. Like John Denver played there. I've been mentioning it a lot lately, but yeah, John Denver, I mean, he spoke highly of it. It's like that's pretty special if he's saying
It's pretty
so about it.
magical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would that would be awesome to do something like that, but small steps first. You know what I mean?
That is a small step. That's the smallest step from moving forward is the Red Rocks.
That's the most practical step, really, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to overdo it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Is there anything that could take not the place of, but be as important to your life now in terms of like genre wise that separates from garage and punk or something that you haven't explored yet? Is there anything that could be very big that you haven't even came across yet?
Like musically listening and
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. Genre wise. Yeah. Like really jumping into something else.
Like for myself, listening or performing, writing.
Inspiration wise. Yeah. Yeah. And just listening to like, oh, I'm really into, I don't know, well, I'd be a hip hop. I don't know.
I
Some
mean,
house music.
you know, that's funny you say that. I mean, fortunately for me, I'm as Southern California as it gets. I'm from the suburbs, got everything, you know, like hip hop, rock, radio rock, dad rock, soft rock, everything. So I kind of grew up with a little, quite the palette of all this stuff and influences. But there's two things that I never really got into, which was like electronic music, right? Or not two things, but electronic music, house music, um, reggaeton music. But you
What
know,
do you mean, dude? You were down with
you know,
Sublime. What's
again,
your
like
problem
as
with it?
that was the next practical step. But definitely kind of like myself, like when we're writing our new album last year, I was trying to push not too much, but I was like, you know, I kind of want to incorporate some more modern electronic sounds, like not like techno music, but like some cool synth sound, like stuff that we're not necessarily listening to quite a bit, but we hear it in some old and new music happening. You know, try to start pushing us into a more, I can't say a more modern sound, but just showing that, you know, hey, we are in the modern world, so why not start trying to like take some of these little, you know, little
Tidbits.
flavors, tidbits, you know, a little bit from the sampler tray, you know? And so that's something I kind of been getting into and like just like diving deep like the past like couple of years. I've been really into just like the whole like 80s does the 60s jangle rock, early Primal Scream, Jesus and Mary Chain, Happy Mondays. And then as I'm listening to them, they're progressing into like that early 90s house techno rock, you know? And now I'm listening to like their like specific, very electronic sounds, I'm like, fuck, this stuff's kind of freaking awesome, dude. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not here bumping Blur's Girls and Boys, but there's other things in that realm that are pretty fucking cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's called Song 2.
Um,
That's what it is.
yeah, that's the one, right? But so that's kind of been something that I've been trying to kind of like get into just a little bit more, you know, just hearing sounds of like electronic music, maybe not trying to get into artists or things like that, but like, what's that? What's that arpeggiation, that synthesizer sound? How could that be cool in a rock band? Or even like, you know, even digging, hold on, my dog's doing something. Hey, uh, you know, even like as we dug deep, like I said earlier, like we're going into like blues music. I know like Julian and all of us really like, we've gone back into influences like to our grandparents' music and listening to just like trying to pull influence from like Los Panchos and things like that, old trio bands, like Spanish, you know, ballads and things like that. Beautiful freaking harmonies and great like guitar work. And it's just like, holy shit, I can't believe this was cool. And yet, like growing up, we were kind of condemning it like, that's my parents' music, you know? But now I'm like, oh, I gotta find it. I gotta find the riffs and the, you know, the cool songs, man.
Right.
So that's pretty interesting one we've been kind of pulling to. So it's like this weird, like going really deep into the whole like trio music and then kind of like trying to pull from like 90s electronica. I don't know. It's weird. I'm in limbo. I don't know what I want. No, I'm kidding.
How would Levitation Room be different if you didn't partner up with Julian in the beginning? Do you think that the sound would have changed or been altered in any way?
Most definitely would have. I don't know. Maybe I probably would have been a little bit more upbeat and aggressive. Probably still have a little edge to it. You know what I mean? Not saying that we don't, but like definitely you know, when we were first starting to write, well, when we first started, Julian didn't want to be the singer at all, you know? And we were trying these like more upbeat Black Rebel Motorcycle, Black Angel vibes, you know? And but when Julian finally sang, he's like, you know what? I think we need to like bring it down a little bit, get a little more vibey. So we kind of started writing to cater to his vocal ability a little bit, you know, especially as like a new singer. He's not like someone that's like, yeah, I've been singing since I was a kid. He was like, no, I haven't. So, you know, had like a lighter edge to it, but definitely had he not, I mean, I probably still would have had a little bit more like, you know, grittier sound to it. Definitely maybe a little more Jesus and Mary chain in there, more fuzzed out riffs, you know what I mean? But
Dirtier, yeah.
a little dirtier, a little grittier, maybe still a little bit more in the realm of straightforward garage rock, you know, because that's what at the time I was like really into. And but like luckily Julian and John were kind of like the founding three. You know, we really challenged each other just to like, you know, try every angle of that riff or that progression or that sound and like let's try to really make it ourselves, you know, can't make it the most original, you know, but it's like make it for us, you know, make sure it fits us as best as possible. So like a lot of songs went through the ringer, you know, a lot of rejection or a lot of like, nah, try this instead. But that's like a growing thing to kind of like release yourself from yourself, you know, stops smelling yourself so much when you're songwriting, you know, like all these songwriters like, you know, I got this song down, let me show the group. It's like great. And we do that, but then it's like it's also like, all right, well, come down to reality because the group's about to do all these revisions and the song, hey, the song comes out different than when you initially had it. And I think that's freaking cool. Like I love when I have like a song sketched out, like the progressions and everything. But by the time we kind of leave the studio or the jam session, it's like, oh shit, it sounds totally different than what I had in mind, but that's way better than anything than what one person can do. You know, that's the collaborative effort. Well, our favorite bands are maybe some of our top influences are like the Beatles and the Clash, and those are like highly competitive and collaborative duos of songwriting, and that's where you get like so much diversity per song, almost not even per album, per song is different, you know. And that's where we're trying to push ourselves a little bit more. So we've always kind of had that edge to push ourselves of just like, that's great, Gabe, but let's try this out. Or, you know, try it this way, try it in a different key, you know what I mean? And we, you know, you gotta really to accept sometimes like, that didn't work out, no big deal, you know?
Right. It's very, very democratic.
We try to be, you know, but sometimes, hey, sometimes someone comes in with the way the song should be pretty much. All it needs is a little solo and drum beat. And why try to like overcomplicate it? You know, especially like if you come in saying, this is a really simple song, guys. You know, we don't need to go into like creating 3 different bridges and a key change. And then, you know, a time signature change is like, no, this is a 2-part, simple, straightforward song, you know?
And that's dictatorship. So it goes both ways.
A little bit. Sometimes it's like, I think, because we've done it, we've like had like a song pretty like, you know, hashed out, or at least an idea of it. And then like, we're jamming and we're like, you know, we're trying to be like, let's make it beautiful, this and that. And we try all this shit to it. And then at the end, it's like, yeah, all this extra stuff's not working, dude. I guess let's just kind of strip it back down. You know, it's like, we've kind of been working in the whole parameters of like less is more kind of mentality. You know, before we were just like, it's got to have fuzz and it's got to have solos and then this and then that. And then now it's kind of like, nah, I mean, like sometimes some of the new songs, I'm just doing like simple little riffs on top of everything. We're showing like Glenn, our producer, for it. He's like, what chords were those? I was like, honestly, I don't even fucking know, because I didn't write the chords. I just know my little riff parts, you know, my little notes that I'm hitting, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. It does make an interesting process that you got there.
Yeah, I mean, like we definitely always like send like a little demo, maybe like a phone recording or a little Logic recording of a simple hashed out idea. And it's like great to like pull that up and let's see how we can make it come alive. I always have the intention that like this shit's gonna come out different. I can't wait to see what it's gonna be, you know? Mm-hmm. I did that a few months ago. I recorded like this really like little kind of like a bossa nova Latin vibe lately in our writing and rhythms. And something I'd never thought I would say, you know, 15-year-old me is like, what the fuck, bossa nova, you know, elevator music.
And you're like,
but,
yeah, elevator.
You know, I had this idea. Yeah, that's right, bro. Pick it up, you know. I recorded it on this like, you know, acoustic guitar with like a little riff on it, with a little guitar mini riff on it, and showed it to the guys. And I had the intention of thinking like, maybe we'll keep it light, you know, very acoustic, straightforward. And sure enough, we came into this great fucking pretty cool not electronic, but full band, cool rhythm and everything. And it just totally different than what I anticipated. And I was like, this shit rolls, you know, it's way cooler than the demo idea.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So you got to record that on the phone, make sure we don't lose that, you know, and then when we come back to it, it's still there. That idea is still there, you know.
It's phone to tape on that one. Yeah.
Phone to tape. Fuck it, dude. You know, send it a mastering. It's ready to go, you know.
You say, hey, boss man, producer, you can just take the day off because we got it from here, boss. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, you see this?
Give me that aux cord and we're going to make some magic happen. Yeah.
Well, that's technically how we recorded our first song ever, Friends. It was like we recorded everything on one microphone. And the reason why, if anyone listening to this or if you listen to it later, the reason why there's no actual drums or full drums on the song is because 1, we had no idea what we're doing. 2, the drums were too loud when we had one mic recording everything. It was just like, so it was just like, you know what? How about just hit the kick and play the bongos, you know? And we're like, all right, cool. And then it was just a demo. And I was like really pushing everybody, like, let's just put it up on like YouTube and SoundCloud and Bandcamp. Like, we've been a band for a year. Like, people in the quote scene have known about us, but we haven't released anything. We haven't played any shows. We're kind of just like the guys that show up at parties and they're like, they're a band, you know? So we finally did it just as like, get the demo up, let someone hear something. And now that demo is like our most popular song.
Yeah. Do you prefer the demo version, or do you prefer because there's two different versions, correct?
There's two, right? Yeah, I prefer the demo version 100%.
Why?
It has the heart.
Mm.
It has the heart, and just like that was us learning how to be us. You know, again, like stripping down our sound, being that calm and timbre for Julian's vocal ability, and just like, you know, really like rudimentary songwriting ability at the time. Oh, together, at least, you know, we were somewhat capable of playing our instruments, but like, how do we do it all together? You know, and that was like our first interpretation recorded, and it was captured in the moment. You know, like Julian went to a concert, a Devendra concert, the night. Yeah, he had the romantic bug, you know, he hit the romantic bug. And the next day, you know, we were in this studio. Well, we had this lockout studio in East LA, in the back of like an old shitty music shop. And we had it was like 24-hour access. And Julian and John used to live there. And I was there every waking hour possible. And Julian had this like little riff going. And then me and Julian were kind of working it out. And then John showed up, and we're just like, let's just record this shit, dude. So to me, it has that, I hear and I still see that room, and I still see us, these like, you know, very amateur guys not knowing what the hell this is going to be, you know? But I just knew there was some importance that you have to document it, you know? Like I have a lot of like footage, and I mean, even like our first like little videos on YouTube, Firebird Lane and Dorian Blue, those are all like vignettes and snippets of us in that space. Well, we were just like every day trying to do something, to be a band or just be artists, you know, like literally fucking day. I worked at a coffee shop. I would open it at 5 a.m., but I would be jamming with the guys till 3 a.m. Ooh. Yeah, like for like 2 years, I didn't sleep, but it was just like the labor of love. Like if I didn't do it, someone else will, you know, because we were very cutthroat. Like if you're not going to show up, then we'll move on to the next person that wants to do it, you know? And it was a very special moment. So when I hear friends or special place, special moment, and just like a lot of growing pain. So when I hear that first version, it brings me back. It's as cheesy as it is. It brings me back to all those things. And it's like, I wish we still had that, you know, I wish we still had that kind of space where we're just like our own 24-hour, 24/7 rock and roll circus, you know?
Right. Why do you think that song Friends has had so much success and so many streams? Do you think it's because it definitely does give off a vibe, and do you think that's in part to why it's so successful?
I think so. I mean, like I said, I feel like it captured us literally in that room. There was no like stuff of like, we went into someone else's studio and used someone else's guitars and someone else's amps and someone else's ears to mix how he thinks we should sound. He was like, no, this is the raw ass sound that was happening in that space, you know? And I don't know, I think like at the time too, like this whole little zeitgeist of bands that were occurring was starting to grow, you know, like bands like, you know, the Usuals, All the Growlers, they were already becoming something and everything else was following, you know? And we kind of released it when all of that was growing, and somehow it fell into that whole algorithms, man. Early algorithms, dude. You know, it never left, dude.
Thanks to Zuckerberg. Yeah.
Hey, shout out.
When you do see the phone, and I'm assuming that's the phone song.
Yeah.
Does that kind of make you feel like they're not grasping the point, but it's like kind of not in it, because it's such a feeling when you were recording it, and you're trying to give up that experience. Of course, every time that you play live, you're trying to make just a sense of a commonality between everybody, even you guys and the audience. Is that the separation? You think that's like the dividing factor of it? It's just like that. It's like, yeah, you're trying to capture this moment that you're already in, though.
What do you mean? Like when we play it again, or just when people experience it?
When I guess both. I mean, I guess both. When those things do come together, when you're playing it again and people are experiencing it, do you feel like that hinders the experience, the phones of it, or when phones come out?
I mean, it can, like I definitely do feel like, for example, we were playing in New York and we're like 3 songs in. Spoiler alert for anyone that's going to go to our show. We play Friends later in the set.
Yeah, so stick
But, like,
around.
you gotta stick around,
Yeah.
man. Because so we're like 3 songs deep, and some girls like play Friends already, and I was just like, if we play it now, you're gonna leave.
Yeah.
You know what I
Stick
mean?
around.
Stick around, but like, but when it happened finally later that night, you hear that whole woo, everyone's excited. It's kind of cool that everyone gets into it, but it's like it ruins it because everyone gets into it with their phones rather than like dance, grab the girl you came with, or if there's a girl or guy in the room that you wanted to holler at, this is the time now, not your phone. So there's moments where definitely it kills it, and then there's moments where people are actually like doing it, like, oh, now's the time to strike, buddy, or shy girl in the room.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, for us, again, there is, when it comes out, there's that moment. I'm not like the most, like, I would say, like, confident when like cameras come out. I'm like, oh shit, especially like you're a week or 2 on tour, you're like greasy as it could be. It's like I'm not the best photo op ready, you know and like, so sometimes you just kind of get into your shell knowing that like you're being documented so much, where if it's not, we could all be ourselves, or just do our best to just focus on making the way it should be, or be experienced. And fortunately, a lot of people, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but we do get a lot of like, oh, they sound way better live than on the out recordings, which is great. I like that.
I don't know. Is it a positive? Is it a negative? I guess it depends on the time.
The time or who's saying it. I have one friend, every time I hang out with him and like, or them, this group of friends, and they bring up like, I like hanging out with them because they're not musicians, like, at all. These guys are all just like 9 to 5 worker bees, not artists. And when they're like, oh, Gabe's in a band and it's pretty good, and one of them's always like, they're pretty good, man, but I'll tell you this, they're way better live. I'm just like, when it comes from you, the amount of times you said this already, it's hurtful, man.
It doesn't make it. I got
like,
it the first time, but the 17th time, it's like, shit, what am I doing wrong?
You're saying something at this point, for sure. I'm not in your Spotify playlist right now,
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Oh man.
But I have had friends be like, I was in the crowd, man, and these people were like fucking way better live. And that's cool. Like when you go to the show and people are like, oh my fucking God, yeah, hell yeah. I love that, because I would hate to go to a show and that song, the band's Friends comes on, that the banger comes on, and you're just like, I guess, rather than like, fuck, I'd rather have this than the recording,
Right. The next time somebody shouts out play Friends, you should just go into the Friends theme. I think that would be a good, just like, here it is.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna learn that one today just for that. Yeah.
That's the way to counteract that. It's like, all right, you happy? Great. Let's move on. That's, yeah.
Or just be like, you know what, just for that, we're not gonna do it. Yeah, we're not gonna do it.
We'll see. We'll see later on. You blew it, dude. It's like it's like when the teacher's mad at everybody's packing up, it's like, all right, you have to stay later. It's like, fuck. That's exactly,
just because the bell rings doesn't mean you're dismissed.
Gosh, yeah.
Like a classic line, dude. Yeah.
That's as you guys shout out if you play Friends earlier in the set. That's what everybody's gonna hold. Everybody's like, oh shit. I'm gonna.
We thought about it, like writing it early in the list, like in the set list, and then it's just like when it comes to like right when we're about to go on stage, it's like, nah, you know what, just keep it for later, dude. I don't know. Yeah.
How do you feel when you're performing like a brand new song live? I mean, you've recorded it, but or maybe you even haven't recorded it and you're trying it out for the first time. How do you feel about that?
Well, we were doing that this last tour that we did, or last two tours. We've recently also have like a new bass player kind of getting his groove with us. So he's had to do like he's got to learn all the old shit, the newer stuff, and the stuff that's like on the back burner. And we brought in one from the back burner for the last shows, an instrumental jam. And at first it was like, oh boy, like I felt good about it because like obviously our bass player Kevin, with respect to him, he's like barely been in the band like 6 months. I'm like, okay, a little nervous on his behalf for him. Julian's just totally like, no, we are not ready. It's like, you should pat yourself on the back a little bit. I mean, or like you did write it. Like you can't be totally like, we're not playing Hey Jude for everybody, like, yeah, like. So it's a little nerve-wracking because like, especially like this song, that song has like some real like hard stops, and if the timing's not right, it's like, oops, And that did happen a couple times where it was like, shit, we screwed the pooch on that one.
Yeah.
And actually, for our LA show, our homecoming show in November, that was our opening song, and it went off well.
So, oh, okay. That's important.
Yeah, after a month of doing it, we finally got it right. I like doing new material that has been unheard, just to kind of like gauge the crowd, how they will react to it. You know what I mean? But sometimes it sucks when you're just like, you're super jazzed on this new song, like this is the fucking one, right? And then we finish, and the crowd's just like, that wasn't Friends, but all right, I guess, or something like that, And then we're just like, sometimes Julian's like, they're not responding well to it, and it's like, well, they haven't heard it, you know what I mean? It's like, if they were familiar with it, then they'd be like, there it is, excited, you know what I mean? But when it's like a fresh new thing, that's kind of like, and people already have this kind of like, there's like 3 emotions to a Levitation Room show. There's like the people that are super excited. There's there's like reactions. There's like the people that are excited and they're really getting into it, right? And then there's the younger folks that are like already awkward, and they're like, they don't know how to respond. They like it, but they don't know how to respond. They're too shy to want to dance. And it's not really moshing music, so they don't know what to do, right? And then there's like the older or the cooler guys in the back that are just like, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's all right.
Like,
yeah.
So there's the guy it's all right guy. There's the younger folks that are really into it. They just don't know what to do, And then there's the people that are just super into it. They don't give a fuck. They're going to dance and be fools anyways,
Yeah.
I want everyone to be those people, just do whatever you want. Want to mosh around, do that. Do you want to crowd surf, do that.
Everyone be in the back and stand with your arms folded. That's the best thing you can do.
Leave a huge empty circle in the middle of the floor, right? One couple standing in the middle of it. Like that's exactly what we want, But
you gotta ask who is the most in love right now. How long have you been together? Is it first date? All right, you're out there. Everybody crowd around. We're gonna make this special.
Yeah. But it's just funny. It's like, and like Julian's girlfriend kind of noticed that like at one of our shows. She's like, there's like people that are like really into it, and then there's people that want to, but they don't know like how to dance to it. Or like they don't know like how to mosh to it. And it's like, do whatever you want, dude. I mean, we're not like a mosh pit band, but if like you want to let it rip, dude. You got the energy, go for it,
Do it. Yeah. Get into it.
Let it rip, because Julian loves to crowd surf himself,
Oh, yeah.
He loves that guitar crowd surf energy, you know what I mean?
Do you, when you see a concert of somebody that you really like, whether it be Devendra or whomever, do you prefer the songs to sound exactly like the record, or do you want it to sound different than the record or the recorded version?
I'm personally, because I get it for like being an artist, when you start getting into the whole just like rat wheel of doing it over and over again, I kind of like when they kind of do something a little different, you know, because it's like, oh, they're kind of like giving it new life, probably for themselves, you know. I'm into it because it'll take you, like, you know, that they start playing something, you're like, wait a minute, and then they sing and you're like, oh, like that's awesome, you know. Or when they like medley, you know, random songs together, it's like, fuck, perfect, fucking awesome, you know. So I kind of like when bands kind of switch it up just a little bit, as long as it's not like total some like corny rendition of like their song. I'm like, I don't know about that one. They shouldn't have turned that one into a reggae song, you know?
Yeah, are you a fucking cover band now? Is this? I didn't know that you guys are covering your cover band of your own songs. This is insane.
Exactly. Yeah. Then it becomes like this novelty of just like, oh, no, you know, I
Yeah,
get it. You're into Sublime right now, but you know,
and that's when you leave. You're like, all right, that's it. I'm done. I'm out.
yeah.
Going back to Garden
I'm
Grove,
out, dude. Exactly, dude.
Gabriel, man, it's been a pleasure. I want to ask you this though: what do you see for this new year? What do you got? Is there plans coming up? Do you have any personal goals? What do you foresee 2022?
Well, for the group, hopefully we're gonna try to release as much music as possible. We have had some music in the can already, like a whole new album's worth, but we've kind of been listening to it. We've been thinking like maybe this might be better in EPs than one full body of work. So we might try to be like spreading that out and kind of like giving a couple songs that are just their shining moment with, like, you know, a single release and a music video. So we're trying to like maybe 4 music videos with singles. And then on top of that, we're writing more new material. So like release a whole batch of EPs and then do an album's worth, a full album that has nothing to do with all those songs. So we're trying to be almost like release like 2 albums worth of music, but like in separate batches. You know what I mean?
Rad. Everybody can stream Levitation Room on all streaming platforms, correct?
All streaming platforms, man, from Spotify to Deezer, if you use that.
Zune. Zune's out there.
Zune, we're strong. Yeah. We will, I think, probably try to re-release our first music video that was taken down for reasons I won't get into. We're gonna try to re-upload our Crystal Ball video from our first album, and hopefully give it like a director's cut. Our friend that made it once, he's like, I think I could redo it. I'm like, redo it and send that shit over.
Awesome. Is there, do you guys have any merch available? Is it on the Bandcamp or is it on your website, or is it going to be available soon?
Right now there's some merch available. We do merch, little promo for my friend, for her company, Nicole. She has the Church of Pickle, and it's like a merch company that she does everything. It's all in one kind of, she prints it, she makes it, she puts it up on her website, like as just like a merch store. So if you go to the Church of Pickle, you can find our merch and other cool bands that she works with. And we just kind of just keep it like, you know, again, friends kind of using each other's forces and powers to help each other out instead of going to some big box merch maker, help my friend out, you know.
Perfect. And that's churchofpickle.com, right?
Churchofpickle.com. Yeah. And at Church of Pickle Instagram, you know. Soon we're going to be working on new designs, so that web store will be fully stocked soon with some hopefully some cool designs that y'all love.
Awesome. And Levitation Room on Instagram, is that where the people can go and check for new shows and whatnot and what's happening? Yeah,
at Levitation_room. I'm still battling for the legit handle. Also at Levitation Room Twitter as well. We write all like show updates there as well. Our next show will be January 20th at Pappy and Harriet's with Tropa Mágica, other
great
East
guys,
Los Angeles amigos.
Alumni. I'm both on David and Renee. They're fucking amazing. If you haven't listened to that episode, this includes you, Gabriel, because I know you didn't do your research on this show. Go get our time, but go check that out. Seriously, because they're just amazing guys. Triple Mike is amazing. Levitation Room is amazing. Everyone who's been on the podcast is amazing. All right. Awesome. Gabriel, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you. Go check out Levitation Room. Church of Pickle, is that what you said?
Churchofpickle.com.
Churchofpickle.com. Follow Levitation Room. Then that's it. Thank you so much, Gabriel. I really appreciate it. I'm going to stop recording it.
Yes.